But then it also, as a business owner, I have to think about what are the things I need to offer and we need to offer as services to our customers so that they can try as best they can to focus on the things we really shouldn't be focused on, right? And like this PI training we did was really more administrative stuff. It was how to build tags, how to get data, out of their Kepware servers, through the OPC interface, build the tags, think about compression exception settings and make sure that you're getting good quality data, right? And Ben did part of it, especially on the Kepware and the OPC side, and then I did some on, the data quality side, and then the asset framework part, like what can you actually potentially go do with it once you have all this data. So that was kind of one part of it. And then we kind of got to a point where I just asked the question, okay, what do you guys want to do now? We've spent basically 2 days with you. I could go deeper in what I've shown you, or maybe there's something else that you want to do. And they unanimously said, if you guys could help us actually go get data out of X machine, they picked out a machine. We want you guys here with us to help us literally get data from there into the PI system, and we want to see data flowing, and we know it's good quality. Can you just work with us and help us actually go do it? And so a bunch of their engineers, brought in some data. And it was, it's just one of those things you're like, why are they taking that time to do that? I mean, it's not bad that they do and that they understand how the data gets there, but that's taking time away from them actually making the process better.
Mm-hmm.
And these people have a shelf life with you. Well, you don't know that, but you can only assume that in today's age. That's kind of the point and what we're talking about. So it got, and like I said, another customer asked me like, well, why don't you just provide that service? Gee, I've never really thought about it. Sorry, I got something in my eye here. I've just never really thought about it. And maybe we need to. But one thing I think is really dangerous is for us to know more about the customer's process than the customer does. And there are companies like ours, I think especially like when you get into control system engineering companies,
Mm-hmm.
I would be willing to bet those folks know as much or more about how the sausage is made than the company does in a lot of cases. I
Okay.
think that's a dangerous precedent for companies, for the manufacturing companies themselves, that you could potentially be taken advantage of because this outside firm knows more than you do. You can't afford them not to be there. I think that's putting yourself in a bad position. So that's certainly from a pure market standpoint I have concerns about, but like I said, it's making me kind of rethink, well, without crossing that line, and unfortunately we may end up doing that just because of the nature of what we do. But how can we minimize that, right? I don't want any company to feel like they're a slave to Industrial Insight. We're the only ones that know how anything works. This is why we push training on people. We want you to know. We don't want you to call us because we're the only ones that know. I think that's a dangerous, place to be. So, I guess my plea is out to customers and potential customers. And you don't even have to be a customer of ours. I'm just saying you're on the customer side. You're in a manufacturing plant and manufacturing organization. What are services and offerings you see a company like ours or a control system integrator? What are things that we need to be preparing for to do for you that allow you to maintain as much expertise in house, but yet the things that aren't as important you're not doing? That'd be really interesting to know. Like, what is the feedback from the community on that? I'm not sure I know.
No, I think that brings up a good point. And to the counterpoint of you being worried about someone kind of being held hostage in a previous life in systems integration, I had at least one customer who made the concerted choice that they were going to outsource all of the integration work. And they had, maintenance, they had, kind of IT on that side, but they had built the company with one or two contractors doing all of the integration work.
Mhm.
And they made the choice of continuing to outsource it to another company because on their side, they could nearly infinitely scale up, right? So
Mhm.
when you're to the point of having, downtime, or when you're to the point of having, off weeks, you can bring 3 or 4 people in to get all of the work you need done. But when you're not, you don't have to pay anyone. And if there are not any problems, then you
That's
don't
true.
have to have those people on the payroll, and you don't have to go through the process of trying to hire someone who might be a $200,000 a year guy who can do everything, when you can outsource it at $150 or $200 an hour to
Right.
get the experts that you need in place,
When you
as
need them.
opposed to trying to, yeah. And just exactly to your point, Jim, you have a shelf life of most people working at facilities. So are you really going to go put them through a year and a half of training to then come back and hope that they stay long enough and give you enough, heads up that they're going to leave, to be able to get the next person in and continue to go through that churn? And on your side,
Yeah.
I would imagine it would take you or Ben or Tia significantly less time to pull machine data through Kepler into Pi and help an engineer visualize the data than it would for an engineer to spend 2 days in training and then 4 hours once a month to try to remember how they get there.